This is the final in the series that is the Good Fight series. And today we're talking about love versus hate. I was really tempted because when I was outside earlier today, I had a certain deacon whose name, Robert, I won't mention, who said he picks love. I was like, man, you just made my introduction easy because I kind of feel like I should just be able to say it's love versus hate. Pick which one you want. Who picks love? Who picks hate? There you go. I feel like I should be able to sit down and we can go home. And I think it's interesting that we all want to receive love. And yet, far too often, we find ourselves being compelled to act in ways that aren't necessarily loving. We talked in this series about help versus isolation. We've talked about hope versus despair. We've talked about healing versus hurting, and faith versus certitude. But perhaps the greatest fight of all is love versus hate. Luke 23:34 out of the NIV. If you'll turn to that, we'll read that together. I considered preaching this from one of the verses that was read this morning, Genesis chapter 50, verse 20. Or John 15:13, but we'll likely come back to those at another time. But this morning, we want to look at Luke chapter 23, verse 34 in the NIV. If you had it, will you say amen? Amen. Let's read it together. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." And they divided up his clothes by casting lots. Jesus Christ is on the cross, being crucified. Not because of anything he did wrong. Not because he wasn't a great healer, he was. Not because he wasn't a magnificent intercessor, he was. Not because he wasn't loving, he was the definition of love. And yet, he was hated. And in the battle of all battles, love versus hate, with Jesus Christ on the cross, in between two known thieves, while in pain and peril for his own life, he uttered those loving words, asking that others be forgiven. Why? Because they don't know what they're doing. And I know when we act in a way that's not loving and might have some hatred within it, it's often because we give people credit for behaving in a way that they may not even realize. And we might want to consider that they don't know what they're doing. Hate shows up in control. When people are trying to be controlling, that's what hate looks like. When people are trying to be in charge, they're trying to run things, they're trying to use manipulation, that's a form of hatred. Where people, instead of allowing things to go the way God orchestrates and the way God leads. When we want to be in control, that's a form of hatred. When we want to manipulate, that's a form of hatred. When it gets all the way to the point of war, that's the combination of control and manipulation bonded together with power, where people fight so much that hatred hurts. Hatred shows up in control, manipulation, war, power over, where somebody has to dictate how things go. It has to be my way, power over, rather than walking along someone who's going through it, rather than being with someone with compassion and love, power over. Hate is loud. Hate is angry. Hate is always misdirected. Because if you're acting in hate, there's no right place for that. Hate is a child picking a flower for mom on her birthday and getting chastised for it. What is hate? Hate is anger. Hate is bitterness. Hate is manipulation. Hate is unforgiveness. Hate is pride. Hate is self, rolled up and burned on the stove until the stench infects the flavor of all of the food in and around the kitchen. Hate is not edible, and yet is consumed anyway. Hate is a finger point where we look at what someone else is doing wrong and refuse to see that they're a child of God and they're doing the best they can. So how do love and hate differ? I'm glad you asked. First of all, love has hidden benefits, while hate has hidden costs. Love has benefits that people don't even realize. When Jesus was on the cross saying, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," there would be benefits that would end up showing up even now, thousands of years later. Love has hidden benefits. There are benefits that come along with love. When we give out love, it shows up in a benefit that others enjoy even long after we're gone. Memories are some of the benefits that come along with love. There's so many benefits that come along with love, kind of like a beautiful scent of a meal made with love that permeates the smell of the entire house. And it's wonderful. It smells good. People might notice it from outside the house. It's just enjoyable. There's so many benefits that come from love, and there's so many hidden costs that come at the expense of hate. I know we all want love. Are we willing to be loving? My second point is that love is an eraser. Hate is a ledger. If you feel the need to keep track of everything someone is doing wrong, that's not loving, that's not filled with grace. The ledger always points out what's wrong, but love is an eraser. It covers a multitude of sins. And no matter how many things someone has done wrong, love finds a way to make them and the situation all right. Love has hidden benefits. Hate has hidden costs. Love is an eraser. Hate is a ledger. And love gives life, while hate spews death. The life that love gives is not just this life that we live here in a temporary place, in a temporary body. But the love that gives life ends up being eternal, and it lasts, and we remember it, and it smells good, and it tastes good, and it feels good. If you can think about the memories of people that are no longer here, but their love remains, it's because love lingers and it gives life. The gift of what Jesus did on the cross was absolutely magnificent. And no matter how hard hate tries, hate found a way to kill God personified. He died on the cross. He was buried for 3 days. And it appeared that hate had won. But love got up on the 3rd day with all power, heaven and earth in his hands. And we ought to live lives filled with love. It's impossible to hate others and to love God and self. I'll say it again. It's impossible to hate others and to love God and self. When I was a teenager, I got a chance to interact with my grandmother, and this is my maternal grandmother, my mom's mom. I didn't grow up around her. I knew who she was when we would come down and visit in Texas and interact with her. It was cool. And she was getting up in age, and she was having some challenges, and we moved her into the house that we were living in Virginia. And I had learned how to play jacks. You know, with marbles, jacks. And I thought I'd gotten kind of good. I'd been practicing, and I was ready for Grandma. So we got ready to play, and I went first. No, I didn't, because that's not how it goes. You do this thing back and forth to determine who goes first. And not only did she go first, she did the onesies, the twosies, the threesies, 4, 5. I didn't know you could go all the way through the entire set of jacks and get every last one of them. I didn't know that you could catch them all and win a whole game. Like, I don't even know how many games she won before I even had a turn. My grandmother, with her barely able to get on her knees self, destroyed me before I even started. I'm so competitive. I really like to win. I really hate to lose. But my grandmother beat me so badly, I realized there was no hope. So this child who thought that he had it all right and was so focused on winning realized that I won something better than I could ever have won if I'd beaten my grandmother in jacks. I got a chance to peep back into her childhood and experience a time with my grandmother that I missed because I didn't grow up around her in Texas, and I was able to bond with her while she beat me badly and enjoy some time that was so loving that now, long after she's gone, I can think about that time and laugh at her laughing at me and feel okay because in the midst of losing, I won. That's what love does. Instead of thinking about self, instead of thinking about what self wants and trying to control, manipulate, and have things self's way, love appreciates the gifts that God gives through others and allows us to take what looks like a loss, Jesus on the cross, and turn it into a win and a loving experience. You might have thought it was a mistake on the program to see No Greater Love twice. It's two different versions. Because I can't think of anything more important than the forgiving love of Jesus Christ on the cross that is offered and available to all. There is no greater love. And so we offer that now to you. If you don't have a personal relationship with God and His church, we invite you to stop losing in life and win by receiving love, being love, and accepting the greatest love there's ever been.